Hello friends, my name is Shilpa Kakkar. I am from M.B.Patel English Medium Secondary and Higher Secondary School. Today I am with English, Standard 11th, Hornbill. Today we are going to deal with chapter number 4. The name of the chapter is The Landscape of the Soul. This lesson is written by Nathalie Troberoy. Let us understand the chapter. Landscape of the Soul, written by Nathalie Troberoy. The chapter is about how different the Chinese art form is from the European art form. The writer uses two stories to make a contrast. European art is about reproducing an actual view, whereas Chinese art is about not creating a real landscape. European art is an artist's way to let viewers show exactly what he wants them to see in the landscape. Chinese art is the artist's spiritual and inner voice, where you can travel from any point and it lets the reviewer, the viewer of the art, the viewer of the painting, creates a path for their imagination. So let us see how Nathalie Troberoy depicts the paintings. 8th century painter Wu Daozi was asked by Tang Emperor Xuanzong to paint a landscape to decorate a palace wall. The master hid his work behind a screen. As I have already informed you that this chapter is about the art forms, two different art forms, Chinese art and European art. Here the writer uses two stories to tell about the art forms. So in the first story, the emperor Tang Xuanzong commissioned a painter, Wu Daozi. Commission means he hired a painter to decorate a wall in the palace. The master hid his work behind a screen. Only the emperor could see it. When he unveiled the painting which he drew on the walls of the palace, the emperor started admiring the wonderful scene. He discovered forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the enormous sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight. He started observing each and everything which was beautifully drawn by the painter. Then the painter asked the king respectfully to look in the caves at the foot of the mountain. He said a spirit lived there. The painter clapped his hands. As he clapped his hands, the entrance of the cave opened. There, The inside was splendid, beyond anything any word can convey. So the painter told the emperor that let me show you what is there inside the cave. He offered to show the way to his majesty. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him. The emperor was astonished. Before he could move or speak a word, the painting had vanished from the wall even. Not a sign of Wu Daozi's brush was left. The artist was never seen again. This was his last painting. Take another famous Chinese story about a painter. The painter, he also drew a very beautiful painting, but 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 this is really very different type of story. Students, when you will read it, you will understand in a better way. But first you should know what the story is about. So, in another story, the painter, he would not draw, he actually drew a dragon. But he would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted. He feared that it would fly out of the painting. So, in order to save his painting, his masterpiece, the painter did not draw the eye of the dragon. This is quite different from other stories. Such stories played an important part in China's traditional education. The books of Confucius, and Zhuangzi are full of them. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. Zhuangzi and Confucius, he guided in the different way. These stories reveal the spirit in which art was considered. The writer then compares these two stories to an old story from his own country, Flanders. He finds this story most representative of Western painting. Here, he talks about another painter, the painter of different type, who was not actually a painter but became a very famous painter. In another story, in the 15th century, Antwerp, a skilled blacksmith named Quentin Metzels fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father of the girl would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession. One day, Quentin went to the painter's studio secretly. He painted a fly on the master's latest painting. It was painted with delicate realism. The painter took it for a real one. He tried to hit it away. Then he realized the matter. He took Quentin as an apprentice. Apprentice means the follower, the person who works with him. And then Quentin married his beloved. He went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. The above two stories from China and Flanders illustrate, gives the example what each form of art is trying to achieve. In Europe, the aim is a perfect illusionistic illusionistic likeness. Illusionistic likeness means a similar kind of thing. In Asia, the stress is on the essence of the inner life and spirit. The Chinese emperor gets a painting painted. He appreciates its outer appearance. The artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule the region he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way. That means you have your art with you. Nobody can take it away. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal. He is now beyond any material appearance. A Western painting reproduces an actual view. The European painter wants the beholders to look at a particular landscape from a specific angle. That is exactly what he saw it. But the Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one. One can enter it from any point and travel in it in a leisurely movement. This is more true in the case of horizontal scroll. Here, only one slowly opens one section of the painting, then rolls it up and moves to another. This adds a dimension of time. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, a participation which is physically as well as mentally there. The European painter wants the viewer to borrow his eyes. Here the writer wants to convey that the Chinese, they are drawing it, painting it with spirituality. But the Europeans, they wanted the viewers to see what the painter has painted. They do not have their own, they can imagine in their own way, but they should see what they have written. The Chinese painter does not want him to do so. He wants the viewer to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. This concept is expressed as sensory. Here, the writer wants to express that the Chinese painting allows the freedom, gives the freedom to the viewers, whereas European paintings, they take away the freedom from the viewers. They just want that whatever they have drawn should be interpreted by the viewers. So the sensuified painting art is different. Here the writer talks about sensury, in which he talks about the different concept, the concept which is expressed literally and have different meaning of landscape. The landscape which they are talking about is quite different. It has the different perspective. Century. Century means mountain water. Used together, they represent the world landscape. The mountain is yang while the water is yin. The interaction of yin and yang is a fundamental notion of Taoism. Taoism is actually the philosophy of China. There is a third essential element also, the middle void, where their interaction takes place. Again, this middle void is very important. This can be compared with yogic practice of pranayam. Pranayam that we know, that we follow, the breathing practice. Pranayam, which means to breathe in, retain. Retain means to hold your breath and breathe out. So this is the yogic practice, which is very important. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. Void means the empty space. The empty space is very important. Without that, nothing can happen. So, this yogic practice is very important. Hence, the white, unpainted space is very important in Chinese landscape. Man finds a fundamental role in this space between heaven and earth. He becomes the medium of communication between both the poles of the universe. His presence is essential. He is the eye of the landscape. French painter Jean Dubuffet first created the concept of art brut, or what we call as raw art, in 1940s. Here, this man talks about those people, those who are not artists. The artist of the untrained visionary was of minority interest. They are called as outsiders' art. It has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in international modern art. This particular type of work is the creation of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training. They do not have the idea what the art is. Even they do not have the knowledge of criticism. This particular type of work is the creation of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training. Yet, they show talent and artistic insight. The work of 80-year-old Nek Chand is India's biggest contribution to outsiders' art. Outsider art means they are not from the art family. Art family means those who are having the inner talent. By birth, they have got the talent of the being the artist. This man, Nekchand, he has made a garden sculpted with stone and recycled material. It is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. The recently released 50th scene, Spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine, pioneer in outsider art publication, features Nekchand and his rock garden sculpture, Women by the Water, on its anniversary issues cover. His art has been recognized as an outstanding testimony to the difference a single man can make when he lives his dream. The Swiss Commission of UNESCO will be honoring him by way of a 5-month interactive show of his works. Nekchand says that walking through the garden and watching people enjoy his creation is the best reward for him. So students, art is different. Even if the people are not artists, they can make the art, they can show cause in different ways. Every art form has different perspective, different philosophy, and that is why we have to see the painting from the painter's point of view. We should have our own interpretation also to understand the beauty of the painting. These are the questions from the textbook. I want all of you to refer these textbook questions and write the answers. When you'll read the story, when you read it, you will understand it in a better way. So while writing down the answers, before writing down the answers, read the story and understand it well. This exercise is given just for help. If you can write down in your own way the answers by yourself, then it is welcome. This is just for your reference. So kindly go through it. Try to write down the answers in your own words. This is just a guideline. Students, for better understanding of the chapter, go through the story, read it thoroughly, and then you will be able to understand it. So, read the chapter after listening to the summary, and after reading the chapter, go through the summary again. You will definitely enjoy the chapter. It's a beautiful chapter of the work of artist. Stay home, stay blessed. Thank you.